Do you believe that this is exactly what's happening right now?
I think government is going to use whatever institutions exist to try and pursue whatever they think is in either public interest or government interest. And in this particular case, it's important for us to appreciate how sensitive an issue this issue of post-election violence is. And in my personal opinion, whatever the case, whether the former deputy president had been someone or not, his choice of words was regrettable. And I say this with this in mind. I'm just imagining. You know, we had 1,300 people who died in 2007. I mean, the documented numbers. We had over 600,000 people who got displaced. We lost literally what would be equivalent of billions of shillings in property. Now, I'm trying to imagine, because those people, a lot of them, either them or their children, are still alive, and they listen to somebody with the political influence that Rigathi Gachagua has today, saying that there is a possibility in whatever circumstances. You know, I've had a lot of people, and I'm sure even Bai is going to make that argument, that he qualified that statement by saying, if the IEBC mismanages the election, 2007 will look like a Christmas party. Now, you can logically argue that, you can theoretically argue that, but it's very difficult to argue that emotionally or socially, and this is what I mean. When you say there is a possibility of a repeat of a bad incident that affected particular people, we have to remember those 1,300 families that were affected. The 600,000 families, those are a lot of Kenyans who, to them, post-election violence represents a personal loss of someone or of something. Now, we as politicians, and here I'm going to put myself in Sosion, and even Bai is a politician, we as politicians have this thing of imagining that what is important to us is the most important thing to this country. And this is what I mean. When we talk about the election, and I'm going to come to NCIC, because I think NCIC is just toothless. Good institution, good idea, good concept, but just doesn't have, I'm not sure what exactly it exists for. But we as politicians have this thing of saying, if I don't get it, then everybody doesn't get it. Or there is a reason. Because I have lost an election. I have won an election, I have lost an election. And I always say that the first instinct when you lose an election is to say it was stolen. Because nobody goes to an election running assuming they're going to lose. Mm-hmm. You have spoken to people, you have spent resources, but the day you go, by the moment of the ballot, you actually expect to win. So when the results start coming out and you lose, the first reaction is like, all those people I spoke to can't have lied to me, so these guys must have stolen this election. Now, if at that moment in time, I have the power to declare that election stolen, and I have people who will hear me because they don't know anything else. I'm the leader who they were voting for, and I wake up and I say this election was stolen, IEBC mismanaged this election. Then what am I going to do? I'm going to trigger post-election violence. And that was my problem with that statement. It doesn't matter how you qualify it.
But shouldn't we use any opportunity in our history, because we cannot rewrite history, to learn a lesson from that?
Yes.
Is it wrong to refer back and say
no,
that?
It is not wrong.
We should be careful not to go back to that.
Actually, Kriegler said those words. And that was the beginning of how we got a new constitution and we got a Supreme Court to create the capacity